Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. I've got a new project here. I've been working on the camper for a while, I've been working on the chickens for a while, and now it's time to focus on something new. This is going to be a series of videos for the channel. This is going to be a pole barn project that I'm going to build out here in the pecan orchard, and it's kind of in the back over here, and this is an area that I don't really come over too much, and I have like a shallow well that I've previously drilled that I haven't really hooked up yet, and it kind of makes for a nice area. Actually, there's a gap in the trees that one of the trees died, so it's kind of nice to put a pole barn here. So this pole barn is going to be to house the camper, because right now it's under my carport, and I'd like my truck to be under the carport versus the camper. And I also have a tractor, and that is just under like this canvas tarp thing, so it's not the best, and I want to get it under a shelter. And this is just going to be a traditional A-frame pole barn for now. It's just going to have 2 bays that I can park in the front, in the main middle part here. It's going to be 24 foot deep and 22 foot wide. Just a typical A-frame, and then later I'm going to build some wings off to the side so I can have additional areas to store, like tractor implements and things like that. But I'm going to be building it out of some steel I-beams that I have. These are W6x9 I-beams, and I got these from work. We do some testing on solar piles. They're actually those piles that they use when they install those big utility scale solar fields. We do a lot of the testing for those, and so I have some of the leftover tested piles. They're kind of bent a little bit, and so you don't use them for production. So so I took them home. These are several years old now, and I'm going to be using them as the pole part of the pole barn, and I'm going to be encasing them in concrete in piers in the ground. So I'm going to do 4 of those along each side. And then the top, I have some timbers that I cut from a tree that we had cut down with some lightning damage. So I have some timbers that are going to be the main beams that kind of connect the tops of the poles. And then for the roof, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do yet. I think I'm going to do some smaller pine trees that we have around here, like 8-inch diameter trees, to make some sort of truss type system. I'm not too sure yet, but that's a little ways away. So I'm going to get started today. It's going to be really just laying it out. Kind of getting things started and kind of figuring out what I'm going to do, and then I might get into some of the foundation stuff, but today just going to be the layout. So while we get started, I'll bring you along and we'll show you what's going on with this pole barn. Alright, so now that I've got all the corners staked, it's time to start running some string lines. If you saw me there with the laying out the corners, I was trying to line it up with the rows of trees that I have here. And so like the front is along that row, and so that kind of was determined for me. And it's 22 feet across. And then I started going 24 feet deep and put a stake and then try to square it up with the other posts. So trying to get a triangle and using back to our middle school geometry again. It seems like all these projects I'm using middle school geometry, but the Pythagorean theorem, where you do a squared plus b squared equals c squared, that kind of formula, if you remember that. So was able to get that diagonal of the triangle of the carport there, or the pole barn there, is 32, a little over 32 and a half. And so I was able to kind of pull those tapes together to try to see where they intersect, and then put a stake there, and then do the same for the other back corner and put a stake there, and then measured across the back, and it was 22 feet. So we're good to go. Got all the 4 corners. So now for the string line, this is going to be where I'm going to level up the post to it. So you're going to have a nice line of posts along the string. And also I'm going to have it set at 2 foot above the ground. And so what that's going to be doing is helping me to level the post as well. So with the wood posts, you can just put them in the ground no matter what, and then at the end you can just like do a laser or string line and just cut the tops off. Well, with these steel piles, it's much different. It's a lot harder than that. You can do a like a portable bandsaw or something like that, but it just tends to walk on you a little bit, and I'm not gonna be doing that. So what I'm gonna do is measure from the top of the post down. I think it's gonna be 8 feet, because I'm gonna have a 10-foot sticking out. So if I put the string at 2, 8 foot down from the post, do a mark on the posts. So I'm gonna set the post down in the footing hole that I'm gonna dig, and make sure that line lines up with the string line. So it lines up, you know, horizontally with the string line and vertically with the string line. So that means so the piles are all in a row and the tops are all level. So the ground slopes here a little bit, and that's fine. It's probably about a 8-inch to a foot difference front to back, and that's fine. I'm just gonna put gravel down, so I'm not need to like level it with the concrete or anything, and that'll allow water to just kind of run off if it does get in here. But so that I'm gonna measure that 2 foot is from the front post. So the back post will be sticking up out of the ground about 11 feet. So I don't think it's a big deal. So we're gonna start doing that. I'm gonna start putting the string line down, and then we'll kind of switch gears and start doing footing. So I'll probably do that maybe a little bit later today, and I'll bring you along for that. But anyway, let's get started with finishing up this layout. All right, I wanted to go over the beams that I'm using. So these are W6x9 beams, and you know, more commonly known as I-beams, but they're really wide flange beams, and the W6x9 gives you an idea of how big they are. So the W6, whenever you see that, is the 6 inches tall, this depth part here, and then the 9 is 9 pounds per foot. So this is about a 2 foot piece, so it weighs about 18 pounds. So that's how you can determine, you know, what size beam you have. You know, obviously a W8 is just a little bit taller, and you can get a W6x15. There's different standard sizes, and they're just thicker webs, or the flanges are thicker or wider, things like that. So this is just what I have, is these W6x9s, and you know, like, it's kind of intuitive, but they have a strong and a weak axis, or they're stronger kind of this direction, like in the direction of the eye, and if you were going this direction, they're much weaker. So this direction, it can really hold a lot of lateral force pushing it. It kind of resists it a lot more than going this direction. So what I'm doing is I'm installing them this way, you know, when this is going front to back, and so I'm going to have more rows of the columns going this direction. So it's going to be weak this way, but not this way. And this way is where the roof is going to come in, and so it's going to want to push the column out that way. And so I want that strong axis to kind of help resist that. And the weak is the axis is going along the length of the pole barn. But what I'm going to do is just install some X braces to kind of brace them together, so it kind of ties them together this way. It's a little easier to do that along the length. You can't do it across the front because you won't be able to put anything in it. So just gives you an idea of, it's a little bit different if you're using these kind of steel columns versus like a, you know, like a telephone pole that's just round, and it doesn't matter the direction they're going. So this one, I'm doing it this way with the strong axis kind of going perpendicular to how I'm going to like drive into the thing. So anyway, when you see me putting this together, that's what I'm doing. You know, that's how it's kind of oriented. So here's the second post set in the ground. I'm going to give you some dimensions on what I'm doing here. So these are W6x9s, so they're 6 inches tall, and the hole I'm making is 13 inches in diameter, roughly. So what that's doing is the kind of diagonal from this corner to this corner, I think, is a little over 7 inches, and I wanted, you know, about 3 inches on either side of cover for the concrete to kind of cover around it, because what I don't want is for this to break the concrete, because these are sharp edges on it, and that kind of lateral motion can just kind of make this a sharp point in the concrete and have a crack kind of propagate through it. So to help with that also is I put this number 3 rebar. It's a 3/8 diameter rebar, and I forgot on the first one, but in the order of operations I had to slide it up underneath and tape it up here so it doesn't fall down, because I'm using this board to help hold it up off the bottom. So that's another thing, is you don't want this post to touch the bottom. Even though this one is galvanized, it should be fine, but my other posts are not galvanized, so that could rust on the very bottom. You don't want that. So I'm having it up off the bottom a good bit so that concrete can get up under there, and you're gonna like kind of vibrate it in or rod it in, so make sure it gets up under this post nice and solid. So I'm gonna kind of clean up the edges here. I kind of need to make a better way for the concrete to get down in there. But so there you go. I have a W6x9 with 13-inch diameter holes dug, and they're about 3 foot deep. The upper one is a little bit deeper actually than that, just because of the ground slope. So I got this set. So now the next step is to get this concreted in, which I'm going to do in a little bit. But it's the same process, just shoveling in concrete into the hole. So I'm not going to really bring you along for that. So we're going to kind of just repeat this process for the other two. So looking nice along the string line there. I'm going to be putting in 2 more posts, and then this whole side will be done, and then we'll start doing the other side. So anyway, I just wanted to bring you along for this one, and we'll kind of just speed through the rest of it. All right, so here it is all installed. I went ahead and did the center 2 posts without bringing you guys along, but it was about the same process, really. The only difference is these posts are non-galvanized, while the end posts are galvanized. Same process in digging the holes, putting the piles in there, and then concreting them in. So this is the 4 posts, and now I have to do the other side, but you get the idea. So these are nice in a line. You can see they look pretty good. They kind of line up. That's the little like way to check here that they all kind of get in a line there. So yeah, next is I'm going to do another row of posts over here, but I'm not going to bring you guys along for that so much. I think the next video I'm going to do is going to be connecting the timbers to the top of these posts. I'm not 100% on how I'm going to do that yet, but I'll bring you along for that, and then we'll start building the roof and whatnot. But appreciate you sticking around for this video. If you have any questions, just put them in the comments below, and hopefully I can answer them, and hope this helps you out with your project. Thanks for sticking around, and if you would, like and subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you on the next one.